Hello everyone, I'm Esperanza and this is Art from the Heart at St. Augustine's Church. And we're still doing our session remotely because of the lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are still on the topic of pointillism. And this week we are doing still life. We have now gone from just the image, which is our subject, from the previous session, to creating a background like a shadow. So today we will be, for this session, we will be working on this jug. And yeah, we're going to do the jug and the shadow, and of course, this area where the jug is standing on. Okay, so let's start. For this particular jug, I've only used black and I've diluted it with water to create a different variation of the color. Now, well, there is a burnt umber here at the bottom, but that's the only different color. But for what we're going to do for this session, we are also going to use a little bit of yellow ochre, and I will show you how to dilute the paint to ensure that there is a variation in the intensity or the value of the color. And let me just move this a bit before we start coloring. So to do that, okay, I will be using a brush for this part of the session, but we will not be using a brush for the actual art piece. So the first thing I did was dilute the black paint with water. So after doing that, I've dipped my brush in the paint and then dipped it in another well, just one drop. So that means this is very dilute compared to that. Now, after doing that, I again did the same process, doing it in the next well. So this is definitely much less pigments than this one. And then I did the same thing. Okay. And then for this color, okay, I'm just going to put some pigments here. One moment. Okay. For this one, this is actually from this particular well, and I added a little bit of blue, really just a little bit of blue, and then I mixed it, and that should create the difference in the tint of the color. Okay, I will show you on this sketch. I think that's a bit light. Okay, so that's this one. And this is where it originally came from. As you can see, there's a variation. So this one, the blue paint, we will use for painting the shadow. Now, if you've noticed, I've also put small amount of paint here. And this one, I will add a little bit of yellow ochre too. Okay, so I'm adding a drop of yellow ochre, mixing it. And then I'm going to add some more water, actually a lot of water, so that it's dilute, yet it has that tint of yellow in it. Okay, let's test. Yes, so 3 different tints. Okay, that's wonderful. I'm now going to put this here beside me, and we will start with the drawing. Oh, by the way, at this point, we are done with the brush, and from this point onwards, we will be using cotton buds to our painting. Again, you can use a round brush to do this. However, it will be more challenging than using the cotton bud, especially if you're a beginner. But if you have experience doing pointillism, please do feel free to use a round brush. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is the drawing. And what I'm going to do now is just to draw just to draw a straight line. This is going to be our guideline. Yes, and I am going to do one side first. Okay, so one side would be like so, and then I'm going to do the shape. Oops. Do bear with me. And as you can see, I have one side here. I'm gonna do a mirror image on the other side, which I will later on adjust. And by adjust, I mean I am going to add a spout here, just like this one, and of course the handle on the other side. But for now, I'm just trying to create a mirror image. Perfect. So I now have that. And the next thing that I would be doing would be to create this designs and this line. So let me start with this line because it's easier. Now here, okay, I just draw a curved line here, then a parallel curved line. I close the ends, and this bit I need to erase later on. And then, okay, I'm doing the same thing here. And then again, these parts I have to erase later on. So I've now finished doing this, this, and this. Yes, we don't see the shadow yet. We will only be doing that once we finish putting the rest of the details on it. Now, I mentioned earlier that there's a spout, this one. Okay, so we now create the spout. So I start here from this point. I follow the current curved line, but I spread it out a little bit more. And then from here, I go a little bit lower. Okay, lower than the current line. And here, as I touch the middle, I go higher than the current line. Okay, and then I now have this sort of parallel line, sort of. Okay, and I close this by drawing a curved line going there, and then a line parallel. So that one. Okay, but as you can see, this one looks fancier, and that is because I made some curves. So here, instead of just going straight, I make this curved line, and here another one, and then subsequently, okay, the parallel line, which is no longer parallel, I would have to erase it at that point, and again try to create that parallel image. Okay, so we now have that. Now we just have to do the handle. Now the handle is a bit more exciting than the rest of the piece. So I start with the outer bit. So it's just like an S. And then the inner bit, also like an S. And then here at the tail, I continue this into a circle. And here I continue this into a circle as well. Now, that still looks plain compared to the sketch we have here. So what I'm gonna do is to add some design. As you can see here, there's that sort of round thing here. So I'm just going to add a round thing here. And similarly, there's another one here. So that's it. And opposite this round thing is another sort of round area. Okay, now I will remove the original guideline here and here. So once those have been removed, okay, we are now going to draw the design. So for this one, we will continue and draw something like a coil inside, and here same thing like a coil, and here same thing like a coil. Okay, now here as well. So you have those small spiral bits. Now, if you can see here, there's some sort of shapes inside. You don't have to draw those, but those are just markers for different colors. So, for example, this one, the marker inside this piece would be lighter than its surrounding areas. Same here. On this side, I can put a marker here. And this should be lighter than the surrounding areas. Another one here. Okay, this one would be different. This would be darker than the surrounding areas. So again, these are all just markers. Okay, so now we have our jug and the details in it. Oh, we haven't done the sketch of the shadow, but we can actually do this even without, we can paint the shadow even without the sketch, but just to illustrate. Okay, so here it's connected like that. Okay, and then here connected again like that, and here going there. Okay, but it's not just one line, so this is some sort of parallel here like that. And yes, if you've noticed, it's going inwards here a little bit, and that is because we have this design. Okay, but we do have to connect those two points. Okay, so now we have the shadow. So now we just have to draw that line that separates our foreground and background. And of course, at this point, just erase this line, this guideline over here. And we will end up with a sketch that's like this. Okay, now let me just prepare the paint. And if you remember, this is the art piece we're going to paint. And again, we have prepared the paint earlier. So this is our most concentrated color going down. And here we have one that's mixed with yellow ochre and another one mixed with blue. So we shall start, and we will be following the form, the distribution of the paint in this art piece. So we will start with the lightest. Okay, again, in watercolor, when layering colors, we should start with the lightest. And we would be starting with the lightest without any tint. Okay, so that means that's just the really light gray. And we will just go all around to mark which areas we will not be painting. So what I'm doing now is just marking which areas we will not be painting. And after I've done that, okay, I will start painting the outer sides. Yes, and sometimes it will be more concentrated than others, so you just have to lift the extra paint and redistribute it. Okay, we're doing a very good job so far. So again, we're just marking the areas that should be white. That means we're leaving it without any paint. Okay, now we start with the handle. Now for the handle, this area would be white. So around it, we can darken it a little bit. Okay, so we just follow the space there. So unless we see any barrier, that means any line, we just continue painting it with this shade of gray. Perfect. Okay, so we've done the handle, and now we're going to work on the designs. Okay, so now we start here at the bottom, this one, and this area, okay, will be, okay, the middle area would be the gray one, this light gray, and this sides will be darker later on, but the top one here would remain white. So again, the same thing. And then here, we just go right through the middle. Okay, amazing. Okay, so now we've painted the first layer of color. Let me turn it around. Wow, okay, it's looking great. Now we are going to paint it with another layer of the very light one, but this time with the tinge of yellow ochre. So we're just going to put a few dots, again, around that area where it's going to be white. Perfect. Just a few dots. This is just to make it more realistic and give it more character. Remember, we're painting a silver jug, so it doesn't have to be intense yellow. Yeah, and here as well, just a little tinge over here. Again, this one is just to give it more character. So you can actually paint randomly anywhere you want to, except in the white areas. And then after we're done with that, we go to the next level of gray. So a little bit darker than the earlier one we had. Okay, and now we start painting it again, but a little bit closer to the side. So as you can see, there's definitely a difference in the color. Perfect. So we're just working our way around the jug. Okay. Okay, so just a little bit over there. Still leaving the main parts white. Okay, now we go to these areas here. So the lower part, I will put dots on them. There we go. And here as well. More dense on the outer part than the inner part. Oops. And here as well. And then now we go to this handle. Perfect. Okay. So we just continue doing that. Okay, there's a bit too much paint there, so I need to lift that. And I'm just going to recycle that, use it for other areas. So that the distribution of color or shade is more even. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, and it's getting there, but it's not exactly the image that we are painting as of yet. So we're just adding more shades of gray to it for now. Okay, so now next thing, I go to the next level of color, next level of intensity. So this one, okay, and then I start with this area. Okay, and then I start here at the bottom for this one. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is to paint this line over here that we drew. So that's our sketch, and as you can see, there are spaces in between the dots. And as we paint it, okay, we will be applying what we did in the previous sessions. That means those on the side would have a higher density of dots compared to the one in the middle. So let's just let that dry a bit. And here I'm going to do the same thing. Again, dots on the side. And here again, same thing on the line. And then here on the sides, again on the line. The next layer. And then on the other side. Okay, I need to turn this around for now to make it easier for me. Okay, but it's the same process. So again, on the line that we sketch, going up. Okay, wow, that is looking good. Okay, just a little bit on this side. Okay, fantastic. So the jug itself is now painted with that particular uh, intensity of color. Now we will work on the handle. Okay, we start here and just continue. There we go. Also here in this area. Okay, now we will have to attend to the design, which is here. So again, the lower part. That's on the lower part. Some dots on the higher part, but not too much. And then, okay, if you notice, I haven't done anything on the shadow as of yet. And I will leave it as it is for now. Okay, now we have to darken these areas. Okay, so now we've done almost all the layers. We're now going to the most intense version of black we have. I'm just going to mix it to make sure that it's even. And then we start here. We start with the lines. Okay, so now we've done that bottom bit. So next we will do this side. So again, we start with the side just like what we did earlier. Excuse me. Okay, so now we've done that bottom bit. So now we're going to do this side. Just like how we did earlier. Those edges first. And again a layer. That's not as dense. And it becomes less dense as you approach the middle. And then we do the next bit. Wow, that is amazing. I can, I'm starting to see the jug. I'm starting to see the jug as a silver jug. Okay. So we've done one side. I'm just going to turn this around, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to start here on the side. Okay, that's to define the shape. And then I'm going to put more dots going towards the center. And then there we go. I'm going to make the dots, the concentration of the dots denser on the outer part and less dense towards the center. And then here, okay, I need to make this part a little bit denser. There we go. Fantastic. We are getting there. So now we have those areas and the right concentration of black dots. Now we're going to do this part. So again, less dense towards the center. and denser here on the side. And then here, yeah, right there below the spout. And then again, more dots. And again, more concentrated here in the outer area and less dense towards the center. Again, this is a silver jug, so we are only using black and white. The yellow ochre that we mixed into the initial paint is just to give it more character, but not really the main color. Okay, so we've now painted that area. Now I'm gonna add a few more dots here. Just to create that dimension. Okay, this time instead of starting in the handle, I will start with the design. Okay, so for this one, okay, start here at the edge. Really high concentration. And then the edges on top, bottom. Okay, so we've done that bit. Next one, again the same, high concentration on the outer side. Okay, bottom. Okay, so we've done the design there. Now just the topmost part. So here, okay, we start with the darker area here as well. Then just the edge. Okay, bring it closer. Okay, a little bit more, like for example, this area over here, and this area over here. Okay, now we're going to start. Now we're going to start with the handle. And again, we have to be mindful with the concentration of the light. So here, outer area is definitely dark. Inner area. And then we go up. We go up, up, up. And here it's definitely dark. Okay. And then here a little bit. And then here we start more concentrated black dots again. Okay, and then we're almost there. And here a little bit darker. And here, really dark. Yeah, and here we're going to just make small dots, really small, just to mark where the handle is. So same, okay. For here, it's going to be a little bit different. This one is going to be dark, really black. Now we go around it, we go around the shape. And here, I think we have it about right. Let me just turn it around so I can see. Okay. Now I need to darken a little bit more, a little bit more here. Okay. Now we'll work on the shadow. So I have to get my cotton pad with light paint. And I'm now going to work on the shadow. Okay, there we go. And then I'm gonna get my very dark paint again. Just going to follow it. And there it is. There's our silver jug. Now we have to do the background. And remember earlier we mixed some dilute black paint with blue. Now is the time to use that. And we start here at the bottom. Okay, so we start here at the bottom. Just like so. We're now just painting the shadows. And I started at the bottom so that when I paint it with burnt umber, this area is almost dry. So the shadow is like a bigger version of the jug, but with no details. So it's just right at the background, the bigger version with the handle, with all of its parts, but with no details. Okay, so we have the shadow. Okay, now I am going to put a second shadow. Yes, it's something more interesting, right? The second shadow is here on the base. It's more of just like a elongated round shape, just right here at the base. Yes, and there will be overlaps here where we painted the area with the black and blue. And now the last part would be to paint it with burnt umber. So let me just get some burnt umber. So just like that. So again, more concentrated near the line. And as we go further from the line, more dilute, less concentrated, sorry. Less dense in terms of numbers of uh, dots. And there you have it. We now have our silver jug, and we only use very few colors. But again, it's more of the intensity of the color, so the value of the particular color. And I hope you enjoyed the session. See you again next time for more pointillism. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.